Destiny has always struggled with balancing the amount of care and attention it gives to the upkeep and maintenance of its core game modes, just like Bruce Wayne attempting to show some sort of compassion for all the children he leads out into dark alleyways to get attacked by ruthless superpowered villains. Crucible almost went for 2 years without adding an entirely new Crucible map. I think that's right anyway. Vanguard playlist, well, actually the addition of Battlegrounds into the playlist was a good move in my humble opinion, but it lacks the drive, the power, the sweet delicious treasure that we Destiny players hunger to grind for subconsciously, and I'll talk about that in the future video. And Gambit, well, Gambit still exists, somehow. That game mode has been on life support ever since Beyond Light. Instead of adding content, they stripped away maps, modes, and mechanics in an effort to streamline the experience, in a surgical move equivalent to removing the entire body except for the leg, in an operation for a broken leg. But recently in Season of the Deep, Bungo added a brand new side activity, meant to be a casual pop-in and pop-out addition, to bolster out the season without really adding anything other than the strange urge gamers get to fish in virtual spaces, but not in the real world. Yes, that's right, in case you haven't been reeled in by the setup to this video just yet, we are gonna be talking about fishing! And this small side activity is very shallow in terms of its mechanics, but it's still pretty fun. But because I am a fiend for stories, concepts, and generally creative stuff, I have comprehended the immense potential that fishing has for the game. Because absolutely nobody asked for it, in this video I am going to pitch to you an idea, an update concept, a plan to turn fishing into a core Destiny activity that could easily rival Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit, and who knows, it may even save one of those quietly dying playlists along the way. So, in order to cover this incredible plan that I have crafted alone in my room during one of the hottest days of the year, instead of going outside like a normal person during the summer, we are going to break down fishing section by section, and to start with, let's explore a basic yet engaging addition that we can make to the activity. More diverse fishing pools! If fishing is going to truly be a core activity, with or without the playlist, it needs to receive updates. It needs to be expanded upon season after season in order to remind the player base that it still exists, and implementing new areas to fish is a simple beginning step to this process. As of now, we have 3 fishing ponds, the outskirts in the EDZ, the miasma in the Throne World, and the cistern on Nessus. So I propose that every season should introduce either 1 or even 2 new fishing locations for players to explore and relax at, surrounded by the nature and ambiance of these beautiful locations created by Bungo. Simultaneously, they could add more ponds within planets we already fish in that could share similar fish types. For example, this season gave us 3 locations, so next season we could receive a fishing pond in the Cosmodrome, and then perhaps an additional fishing pond in the EDZ, somewhere such as the Winding Cove. Next season, we could get another fishing pond on Nessus, and then maybe a fishing pond on Europa. I specifically choose Europa because I keep thinking of an idea of a hole torn up out of the ice in the Asterian Abyss where you can fish in thawed subsurface water. I'm sure there's an amazing graphic to go along with this. I know the science might not add up, but who doesn't want to fish some previously frozen alien fish? Also, it's Destiny. Things aren't always going to obey the laws of physics. Yeah, I'm looking at you, gravity orbit path of Oryx's corpse after the King's Fall raid. Yeah, you thought you could escape, yeah, These new ponds could continue season after season, maybe appearing in the Dreaming City, and perhaps if Bungie was feeling spicy, they could even add a new small area to Neomuna that features a room with a fishing pond that lets you look out onto the Neomuna skyline as you fish. But let's stick with additions to the world that we actually have right now, for the most part. Now, having these ponds in new locations is great and all, but why not make each of them a more unique fishing experience? I would include new types of fish that are unique to each of these ponds, even if they are only the exotic and maybe even the legendary fish. For example, on Nessus, I would totally add a Vex Robo exotic fish that has a rare chance to drop. Hey, so Cyber here in the editing room over Eddie's shoulder. Turns out that actually technically already exists. There is 1 exotic fish unique to each pond, and the one on Nessus literally is a Vex fish. It's not exactly what I had in mind when I was coming up with the idea, But basically, that already exists. Although my hypothesis and my version of this kind of goes into more detail of different benefits that you can get from catching said fish. But anyway, let's get back into the video. I just wanted to let you know that I am aware now that that is actually a thing. So, yeah, thanks. And then on Europa, maybe prehistoric semi-ice covered fish that you could reel up out of the icy frozen depths. This would allow the aquarium to become more diverse and visually appealing season after season, because more rare and exclusive fish become available for Guardians to search for in order to fill up said aquarium. Also on that note, please Bungie, for the love of everything you believe in, keep the aquarium after this year of content. I don't care where you put it, throw it in the Drifter's room, flood them, I don't care. Just have some way for us to view our collection after the final shape launches. Don't tear away our fish from our hands after we stood in puddles for hours in order to trick the exotic fish to swim up to us just so we could grab them for the loot. And also to have them in the aquarium, which is the point of fishing. Anyway, let's move on. Right, well I think that is a brief overview of the expansion of fishing pond options that I would introduce to the Guardians, but if you would like me to explore and explain more of these options in more details, like concepts of locations, just let me know in the comments and I can make a video dedicated exclusively to concept fishing ponds. But now let's move on to the second section of this fishing update. Part 2. More gear and rewards. Gear, loot, and rewards are like the Winter Soldier sleeper agent trigger words for Destiny players that make us froth at the mouth and focus all of our attention on the same exact activity to grind for hours, all because we want the god rolls, or in this case, should I say, the cod rolls. I would introduce a vendor for the activity to be found somewhere, or instead of adding a brand new vendor, maybe give all this stuff to Hawthorne. God knows she needs something other than clan activities to stay relevant. Hawthorne, as this semi-focused fishing vendor, would now sell multiple types of bait. These baits would add modifiers to your catch chances with bait options such as the Trident bait, which gives you a small chance to catch multiple fish at a time of the same rarity, which can give up to 3 fish with one use of the bait, although it is rare. The Distracted bait, a bait that extends the period to press for perfect catches slightly for those of us who have fallen asleep waiting for the controller to vibrate. The Finding Zero bait. See what I did there? This bait can only catch legendary fish or nothing at all, slightly raising the fish drop rate, but resulting in a game of gambling. This bait would be more expensive than the others. And then finally, for an example, Flawless bait. A bait that guarantees you an exotic fish after completing a Flawless Trials of Osiris card that week while listening to the Little Mermaid soundtrack on repeat every match. As well as different bait types, I would allow Hawthorne to sell a set of fisherman-inspired armor for each class that can be unlocked piece by piece by ranking up your fishing level very slowly by catching fish. Higher rarity would reward you with more experience, although this would still take some time. Each piece of armor would raise the chances of exotic fish dropping ever so slightly. Nothing absolutely game-breaking, but it would still be a reward for grinding the activity for so long, and you can get the drip of a Fisher Guardian. Hell yeah. They could also increase the rate at which focus is obtained in the activity, but this may be better implemented as a ghost mod that you can randomly obtain by fishing or simply, buy from Hawthorne. If you really wanted to go deeper than ever thought possible, you could have the ability to focus your fishing rod. This could mean an upgrade system similar to vendor rank-ups that can help tailor fish that you want to, spawn more. You could pick and choose a handful of specific upgrades to use at a time that could incredibly improve your chances of finding very specific fish in very specific ponds, but drastically reduces your effectiveness at fishing everywhere else. Now you might be wondering, Cyber, why would I want the ability to focus your fishing rod to improve your chances of finding specific fish? And the answer to that, my friend, is fish-specific loot. I would have Hawthorne sell bounties to catch specific types of fish in great numbers. More common fish would be the daily bounties, while more exotic and legendary fish would be the weekly. These bounties would reward you with planetary materials and pinnacle gear upon the completion of enough every week, but weekly bounties would give you unique loot that can only be found through this activity. These rewards would be cosmetic only, but each bounty would reward you with the general gear, but also a rare chance to drop a fishing-themed accessory, such as a ghost covered in fish hooks maybe, or a fish with a see-through aquarium portion that could be filled up with the fish that you catch. Although admittedly that would probably be very difficult to make. However, an upgradable ship that can be progressed over time by completing objectives, even just visually, would be awesome. Everything from fish-themed transmat effects to ghost projections to cosmetics for your fishing rod could be obtained via these bounties. And to top things off, I would include even rarer items related to each exotic fish that have an incredibly rare drop rate, which is where the focusing in fishing build crafting comes in. I never thought I'd ever say that in my life. Every season, new exotic fish will be added, probably one new exotic fish for every destination, like new destination. But hell, if Bungie has the time, have a new exotic fish for literally every pond, even if there is already one on the planet. These exotic fish could drop unique decorations for the aquarium and upgrades, also for the aquarium, like visually. But again, Bungie, please don't remove it. The fish won't be able to survive out there on their own. They've become domesticated and the Drifter will eat them. And also, maybe even put in an aquarium-themed sparrow as a general rare drop chance for all the exotic fish and ponds. Now that we have covered new fishing locations, new bait, and vendor upgrade systems to promote fishing bills and fishing-specific loot, that leaves us with the final two sections on my plan that are a bit more experimental to say the least, but still feasible, I think. The first of which is an exotic fishing quest. This would essentially be a more obvious incentive to the general player base to participate in the fishing activity for a more significant reward. To start off this quest, I would like to lean into the more exciting, mysterious side of Bungie, the secret mission side, which is so mysterious that it has disappeared off the face of the earth since that one tower secret mission years ago and has only been seen in shadows ever since. We have no idea if it is eating well. It won't return our calls. So in order to embody the secret mission-ish excitement and surprise, I would avoid advertising the exotic at all. Although, let's face it, the masterminds who mine the code of the game to try and find secrets and enter the mainframe to uncover them will always find a way. Just like life, surviving, or whatever Jeff Goldblum said in Cretaceous Field. I would begin the quest as a random public event that can occur by catching a specific item, not a fish. This item would be an engram similar to Dares of Eternity, but with a longer time before it explodes or at least disappears. You would suddenly be attacked by enemies who desire this treasure that you found. In order to successfully complete this step, you must carry the engram across the patrol zone that you are currently in and deposit it in a terminal or machine that will only spawn once the engram is picked up. If you manage to do this in time and survive and not drop the engram, congratulations! It won't despawn. But by inserting the engram into the machine, you signal a challenge for the resident Lord of the Lakes, or something, I don't know, or the leader of the water of that destination. A boss will spawn in the area, and you and your fellow Fisher Guardians must take it down within the time limit in order for them to drop the first step of the exotic quest. A harpoon. It's not a usable weapon, although I debated having it as a legendary glaive, but it's just an item in your inventory. But from here you would take this trophy to Hawthorne, who will acknowledge you that you are in fact holding a harpoon that the boss must have used to fish to assert their dominance on the natural world or something. I don't know. And you must take it to Banshee instead. Upon delivering the item to Banshee, he will reward you with the next step. Fish. Do lots of it. Fish more. Banshee wants to know the exact skills involved in becoming the best Fisher Guardian, so he can tailor a weapon that embodies these traits that would be fit for the best Fisher Guardian of all of the tower. You will be asked to complete and win a certain amount of games in a playlist that I will elaborate on soon, and then be politely asked to continue catching lots of fish across every currently available fishing pond. And once you have caught your obscene amount of guild friends, you can return to Banshee, who will reward you with a heavy linear fusion rifle. Ooh, I messed up that word. A heavy linear fusion rifle exotic that is modeled after and inspired by a harpoon gun. It could be called something like the Kraken's Tooth, and it would function like a typical linear fusion rifle, only the lasers would be replaced with one singular bolt that will embed itself in an enemy and impale them, before exploding. It would have no elements whatsoever and simply be a neutral explosive heavy. I haven't thought about this an awful lot, so the, rolls and stuff, don't ask me, no idea, but if you want, I can actually think about it and make a deep dive video, potentially. But either way, every season after the launch of this exotic could include a new masterwork available for the weapon, to give it a new element to detonate with, which could be crafted and slotted in once they are unlocked. And yes, you guessed it, the masterworks have a low chance of dropping from fishing. But to shake things up slightly, I would restrict the masterwork to only dropping every season in the current exotic fishing pond of the week. And now we arrive at the final aspect of my master plan, to raise fishing up to rival all the other core activities. And yes, this is the most out there and probably would never be possible idea, but I would really want to do it. I want to go further beyond my little muddy fishing pool and create a brand new playlist activity that will not only be designed for fishing, but designed to diversify and save the Gambit experience also. Competitive fishing. This would be a unique playlist activity that would revolve around the Gambit playstyle with its own unique maps. Each of these maps would feature a banking station in the center, as expected, an invader portal to attack rival fisher guardians, and multiple fishing pond locations that will remain in place on the edge of the map for about 20 to 30 seconds before disappearing and changing to another pond. The aim of this game mode is to catch fish and bank them in the center to summon the primeval. Different rarities of fish count for different amounts, and the fishing build crafting explained previously could aid generally in the playlist as a whole, or you could gamble and tailor your build to a specific destination in hopes that the map related to that destination comes up in the playlist to give you a planetary fishing buff, potentially. Instead of high-value targets, exotic fishing ponds would briefly appear with high chances of catching exotic fish simultaneously alongside the main, already present fishing pond. Invaders can leap across and stop you from filling up your aquarium, which of course is going towards Drifter's seafood dinner, and you can send over blockers depending on the amount of fish you deposit at once. This would be a less stressful version of Gambit, I think, that relies more on fishing rather than slaying enemies until the boss spawns. And if we want to keep this game mode alive after launch, maybe have a unique fish that only has a rare chance of dropping within Gambit that rewards you with an animated fish scale shader or something. Oh, and make more competitive fishing maps for every season, or every second season, swapping with normal Gambit and fishing Gambit every other season. And now, finally, I think that is it, my fish hunting friends. This has been my idea to turn fishing into a full core playlist activity that I think it truly deserves to be. This video is obviously just a bit of fun, but if we want to be serious, I think a cosmetic or two tied to fishing could be pretty interesting, as well as an exotic harpoon gun just in general. Gambit fishing is also a massive stretch, but man, I want to make it like Gambit relevant again. I want Bungie to expand on Gambit, so if they won't do it, I will daydream about it. To myself. Alone, in my room, as stated previously. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on my pitch down in the comments below, or if you have any other activities or aspects of Destiny 2 that you would like me to design an overhaul for. I'd love to hear them, and if I can think of something up in my brain that is relatively interesting, I might make a video on it. But yeah, that's all for now, Guardians, so thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoy fishing throughout the season and beyond, and I hope you get the best RNG for your next exotic drop. God knows I need some for Vow. So thanks again. See you all in the next one. Goodbye, blub blub, and roll out.